An imperfect idea that is executed will always beat a perfect idea that you've been sitting on for months. A perfect idea is a lot harder to execute than an imperfect idea, because a perfect idea, you have to have all these things in place, right? I had an imperfect idea that I wanted to have a planner for myself, but like customized everything that I would want in a planner for me. And I found out that AI knows how to make software. It can make apps. It can make software for my computer. I had no clue how to do this, but I just went for it. I had the idea and I started Googling stuff. I started messing around with the AI, and eventually I got to the point where I created a fucking app that worked. And I don't even know how I got there. I mean, I know how I got there, but it started off with an imperfect idea, and I just took each next step. And before I knew it, I had a finished product, or almost finished product, a usable product in my hands. And that taught me something. It taught me something because most of my life, I've hesitated and stalled and held back for ages on so many things because it wasn't right. The timing wasn't right, the situation wasn't right, and the environment wasn't right, whatever. The colors weren't right in my video, so I didn't post it. So many things that I've just thrown away, so many opportunities that I've just thrown away because it wasn't perfect. And I've always been a perfectionist kind of person. Everything needs to be right, otherwise it's not gonna work. And I'm afraid of failing. Really, it's a fear of failure that causes us to be so perfectionistic, because we're afraid that if it's not perfect, we're gonna fail. And maybe, you know, that for me personally comes from my childhood. I had a lot of chores that I had to do as a kid, and they were never done good enough. No matter how hard I tried to do my chores, I still got, you know, some sort of punishment from my stepmom. She would like dock computer time points. I had like an unallotted amount of computer time that I was allowed to have a week, and she would dock off like 5 minutes because there's dust in the corner of my room, or da 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 da. And I remember crying so much because I could never get it right. I could never get it perfect. And I think that played a big role in my perfectionistic qualities. It's like, oh, everything needs to be perfect, otherwise, oh hell. But I've learned, or I'm learning now as an adult, that it doesn't really work that way. And just because I was in that artificially created environment by my stepmom that made it seem like perfectionism was the goal and also was this unattainable thing, I realize now that perfectionism is not the goal. The goal is to move forward. The goal is to actually move with your ideas and execute on your ideas and watch your ideas develop and unfold right before you. And this goes a lot with, you know, my metaphysical beliefs about reality and life, is going with the flow, allowing things to be. See, like, we get in our own way so much whenever we're going after a goal or an objective, because we think so much. It's got to be this, it's got to be that, or it's not going to work, or da 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 da. All this overthinking that our mind does takes up so much energy, mental energy. And keep in mind, your mental energy is almost, if not just equally, more valuable than your physical energy, because you can have so much physical energy, but if you're mentally drained, you can be getting great sleep, but if you're mentally drained, so you're in a mentally draining relationship, you're gonna feel tired. You're not gonna wanna get up in the morning. You're not gonna wanna do anything because there's so much mental resistance towards the things that you're doing. So having all this mental energy being drained by the overthinking, by the worrying, by the over contemplating, really keeps you from just achieving your goals. You could just be achieving your goals. There's people out here that are way less smart than you, right? You could be a very intelligent, they were way less smart than you, but they just execute. They don't think so much. They believe in themselves and they execute. And so they have a million times more results than the guy who, you know, has 175 IQ and graduated magna cum laude, you know, but he's overthinking whether he should start this app idea. You know, he's not getting anywhere. He's stuck in his own habits. You know, he's reading and doing all this research, and he's like, oh, I've been compiling research for 2 years, and it's just not plausible. It's not feasible, right? The guy who's retarded, excuse my language, is just gonna fucking go for it. He doesn't care if it's plausible or not. He's just gonna go for it, and he's gonna find a way, because that's the way the universe works, right? I really love reality. Transurfing's model talks about the alternatives space, where there's all these different, obviously this is a model, but it really seems to work this model works. It's applicable to reality, right? I've found it to be applicable to reality. The more that I use it, the more that I apply it to my life. There's like this alternative space with all the different potential realities that you could exist in. And right now, there's this moment, and then there's like infinite forks in the road. And depending on what you believe, the actions that you take, the energy that you're embodying right now determines which reality you go into, right? And if you have a goal, there's always a path to that goal. He calls it doors. There's a door into that goal, but you just have to follow it. Right? But then there's doors where you're just overthinking and you're just going in circles, not getting anything. So when you just go towards what you want without all this overthinking and all this cluttering, I know it's difficult. If you're like a chronic overthinker, it's like, okay, how do I even stop overthinking? Oh, let me turn this brightness up just a little bit because the sun's going away. How do I stop all this overthinking? Because great, I can kind of see how, yeah, it's getting in the way and whatever. But how do I stop doing it? I don't know how to stop doing it. And yeah, that's the work, really, if I'm being honest. You have to meditate. You have to meditate. You have to contemplate your own mind and find that still point, because there's a still point where the thoughts not necessarily disappear, but they calm down enough to the point where you can separate yourself from the thoughts and you can be here in this moment and you can see clearly. Right? So your thoughts might be saying one thing, but you can see clearly what you need to do. And then at that point you have a decision. You have an option. You can choose to do what the thoughts are saying and listen to the thoughts, or you can choose to just be and to just move. And then that takes practice, right? There'll be many times where you get to that point, and it's not a really difficult thing to do, honestly. Like, you'll experience this, but it's a gradual process of building that muscle of being present, being focused, and just doing and not listening to the overthinking mind. And that can take, I don't know how long it takes. It's different for everybody. You know, for me, it's been a continuous process. And it's not like you're not going to see results in that journey, right? It's not like you have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. So let's get that straight. You don't have to be this perfect guru who never has any overthinking thoughts and, you know, everything is just perfect and streamlined. But you have to be trying. You have to be trying to be aware, trying to, you know, filter out these thoughts so that you can think clearly, so that you can have a clear mind, so that you can actually have the mental energy that's necessary to go after what you want. And I think that's pretty obvious. The reason I recommend meditation is because meditation has been something I've been doing for years. And I haven't always been super consistent with it. There's been times where I'm really consistent with it, times where I'm less consistent with it. That's okay. We're not aiming for perfectionism here. What we're aiming for is a little bit of progress every day. But meditation is basically just the skill or the practice of focusing your mind on one point, right? And I like to focus it on my breath. Because when you focus your mind on one point, you're building your focus muscle, right? So that's really important, obviously, if you want to be able to focus in life. You're building your focus muscle. You can think about it like you're putting your reps in. Every time that your mind wanders away, you focus back in on the breath, and that's like one rep. Your mind will wander again, you focus back in on the breath. That's another rep. Each time you do these repetitions, your mind is getting stronger, you're becoming more focused. Another benefit of it is you start to notice the separation between you and your thoughts. See, most of us are so bombarded by thoughts all day, every day, that we can't tell the difference between our thoughts and just bullshit thoughts that are going through our mind. Because most of it, I'm telling you, like 99% of it is just bullshit thoughts that are going through your head that aren't actually your thoughts. They're thoughts that you picked up from TV shows that you watched, or social media that you were scrolling, or some book that you read, or something somebody told you, right? And you know this. Think about it, you're watching a show and then, you know, you're at work and the show's like playing in your head. That's not you thinking, really. It's external influences influencing your mind to keep generating these bullshit thoughts that are just draining your energy. Think of your thoughts as requiring mental energy. So the more bullshit thoughts you have going through your head, the more energy you're losing. The more energy is being drained and sucked from you. The more energy being drained and sucked from you, the less capable you are of doing what you actually need to do. I know it's addicting. It's very addicting to keep thinking these thoughts, right? Because they feel entertaining. and maybe your life feels boring. Maybe you feel like, you know, it's all you have, or this thinking that you have. But when you can learn to replace the thinking with the doing, you start to actually get results in your life, and then that becomes addicting. So then you become less addicted to the thinking and the thoughts and the worrying and the woe is me, blah, 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 whatever's going on in your head. And you become more addicted to, oh wow, I'm actually seeing progress. Fuck thinking, I don't need to think, I just want to see the progress. And so you start to become a doer more. And then, you know, that kind of snowballs and compiles on itself. And it's really a simple process. Anybody can do this. So many people have done this. So many people are doing this. I'm doing this. You know, anybody you see that is very, very successful in their life, they've either unconsciously or consciously figured out how to do this. Unconsciously meaning they weren't really aware that they were doing this, but they did it anyways. Same process of, you know, essentially filtering out all the bullshit and just focusing in on something and going for it. Because when you focus in on something, all of a sudden your brain, you know, and the book, Psycho-Cybernetics talks about this. Your brain operates like a servo mechanism, like in a heat-seeking missile, right? It course corrects based off of mistakes. So you have an objective and you go towards that objective. And as you make mistakes, you will make mistakes. You have to make mistakes. As you make mistakes, you, instead of viewing those mistakes through the overthinking mind of, oh, I failed, see, it's so hard, see, it's so difficult, see, I can't do it. Your mindset shifts into, oh, mistakes are just data. They're just data that are showing me the way to go. So if you're going through a maze, right, blind, a mistake could be touching a spike wall. Ah, I touched a spike wall, that hurt. Okay, that's data to go the other way. You know, it's not, let me sit down and cry about how the maze sucks and I'm never gonna make it out. No, ow, spike wall. Let me try this way. You go that way, okay, you're making progress. Ooh, another spike wall. You don't stop now, oh, there's 2 spike walls. I'm gonna be touching spike walls for the rest of my life. No, you're in a maze. There's a way out. You just have to keep going and avoiding the spike walls. And eventually, you'll start to notice a pattern, right? You'll notice patterns, and then you'll be like, okay, maybe I'll go this way, and then maybe you'll feel like luck or whatever, This is still the maze analogy. But essentially, life is the same way. Mistakes are necessary. They will teach you how to get to where you're going. Without mistakes, you won't learn. You won't make it. So, servo mechanism, back to that. Your brain, once you give it an objective, if you can look at the mistakes as lessons, then it will just course correct. You will see opportunities in your mistakes, and you will continue to move forward. And eventually, you will make it to your goal. It's inevitable. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And your brain will try and convince you, well, what are the chances? There's no fucking odds in reality. There's either you're doing it or you're not doing it. Odds are bullshit that your mind makes up, right? Obviously, there's certain odds, right? You know, if I flip a coin, what are the odds? But really, there's no odds because it's physics. Based off of how hard you flip the coin, the result is inevitable. You're just projecting this idea of odds onto the coin. It's physics. There's no fucking odds. Like, let's be real. There's no odds in anything. Everything is inevitably gonna happen the way it's gonna happen. And your mind gets to dictate how your fucking life is gonna happen. If you have a goal and you move towards it. Ignore this idea of odds, ignore this idea of luck or of skill or You will build all the skill, you'll get lucky, it'll look like luck, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get there. Trust me. Look where I'm at. Look where I'm at. This is all a result of me following my heart, following my ideas, moving forward, and I'm living a life that I never could have thought I would ever live, right? And I'm not even there, but I'm almost there. And on the journey there, it's just been blessings and blessings and blessings and blessings. And you'll find that. You'll find that you'll have blessings and blessings and blessings on the journey there. Before you even get what you want, you're getting what you want. Anyways, that's my video for the day. Love you all. Isaiah Coley. Oh, if you want one-on-one coaching, link is in the description. Highly recommend it. I've helped a lot of people. I give really good advice. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you're probably gonna value it. I love you all. Speak to you soon. Peace. Never thought I'd be recording a video in a place like this, bro. Absolutely bonkers.